Now, today, gentlemen, out here at the Combine was a defense day, and specifically defensive line. That entails defensive ends as well. Obviously, the Bears could potentially be in the market for both. Three technique is still not been solved for the Bears. You know, I talked about Justin Jones the other day, and could he actually have been, was he more valuable than what Gervon Dexter has given you? Point is, it's up in the air on that position. Now, the first guy I want you guys to hear from, he's the familiar name. He is a three technique. He is Michigan's Mason Graham, 6'3", 259. He's projected as a top 10 pick somewhere in there, so it's doubtful that he would drop to the Bears unless they move up. But he plays as our friend Grobber would say, plays a newer type of position, and I asked him about it.
So what's the most important part about playing three technique?
I just feel like, physicality, doing your job every play. Us as D linemen, we're told to do the same thing, play in throughout, maybe like 70 snaps a game. So, doing the same thing over and over again is probably, the hardest part. And I feel like, D lineman, I pride myself on doing that.
Why are you good at it?
I feel like I put in a lot of hard work. I've been coached really well. All throughout high school, college, put in the extra time, put in the extra work, try to perfect and be the best player I could for my teammates.
Do you think you'll still be available at number 10 in the draft?
I don't know. Whenever I get that call, I'll know who I'm going to.
That guy is really interesting because he's built like a nose, but he's skilled like a three technique. And so when you can find someone that's built up that way, but has still got, get off and burst to go get they always say that guy's job is to go get the running back on his way to the quarterback. He's a really interesting prospect from that standpoint.
Well, and because, Lawrence, he is built like a nose, somebody asked a question during his presser about his athleticism and, agility and all that kind of stuff. And he did take exception to that. He's like, I don't know where that stuff comes from, and that whole thing. But he has nothing to worry about. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility that it'd be 10th, but I would be shocked if he was there at 10. But a guy can dream, I suppose.
Yeah, we can dream on it. But yeah, the former wrestler, and if anybody saw him in the Ohio State game, he had 8 tackles. I think 6 of them were within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. He was all over the place and just taking people down in that upset. I think he's gone. And I don't think there's another three tech or an interior tackle that makes sense for them at 10. That's my fear, Grote.
There's a couple other guys that I actually talked to today. Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, but yeah, it's not like a slam dunk like Mason Graham. Kenneth Grant, another guy out of Michigan, defensive tackle, really good at stopping the run.
You could probably trade down and get him though.
Oh, absolutely, Lawrence. He's like in that 13 to 17 mode right now, and I'd lean on the 17, towards the 17 for Kenneth Grant. Obviously very talented, but not in the same category as Mason Graham. So yeah, there's other possibilities, guys, but Mason Graham is a guy who just screams, yeah, that's exactly the type of guy you need. So that's why I wanted to bring him to the table.
Yeah, there's some edge rushers that'll be there at 10. There's one edge rusher.
Not the one that I want.
I know. It's Lawrence's guy.
Lawrence.
Oh yeah, and if anybody if you just tuned in, let's say to college football, if you're like, you know what? Let me see what this national title game is all about. Let me check this thing about. And then you're like, who's the guy that looks and plays like Micah Parsons on Penn State? I want that guy. I'd like the Micah Parsons guy, please.
I'm in here a couple months ago, and I was like, Speaks, that's the guy. That's the guy. I need Penn State to lose faster so people can't understand how good he is.
And then they had the highest profile possible, and he played his ass off.
And I was like, good night,
everybody.
Take him off the list for the Bears.
But let's hear from him, Grote.
Yeah, he's the one guy around here, guys, that people are not afraid to say superstar when they attach like any sort of adjective to his name. That's the guy. Here is Abdul Carter from Penn State.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely need a franchise edge rusher. If you look at all the great teams that won Super Bowls, that you have that one standout great defensive player, and I feel like I'm that. You know, my dad, he trained me to be the best player I can be, and not just being the best on the field, but off the field. And knowing all the work I put in, all the training I did, all the sacrifices I made, I know I'm the best.
Now that you're vying for a top pick alongside other quarterbacks, how do you think your value maybe weighs, against, people in that position?
Yeah, like I said, defensive players impact the game just as much as a quarterback. And I feel like me, myself, and all the best defensive players in the country need to just start speaking out about that more, because we're just important to the game as the best quarterbacks.
Man, he believes it, and I think he's right. It's like
he might go number one overall.
He might go over. He might. I mean, Travis Hunter's got a shot. The cornerback, wide receiver. One of the teams could get starving for a quarterback. Talk themselves into Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Have you seen some of the stuff with those two? They're training together.
Who's that? Ward and Sanders?
And they are talking so much bleep to each other.
That's funny.
It is amazing.
That's cool.
I mean, they're like going after each other.
Don't need him. Thanks.
Yeah, don't need him. Got yourself a quarterback. Might have to deal with one of them, though.
What do you guys think about that? Because there has been this growing thing from defensive players, and Abdul Carter has not been, obviously, not afraid to speak out about it, that they want more respect on that side. I hate to say it, but the defensive, of course that's in a premium position, but we're not in quarterback territory yet, are we, with defensive ends, guys? Are they that important?
I think that this year the reason why you'll see the jump is because there's a dearth of quarterbacks that are first round worthy. I think that's
a good point.
That's where we're at, where people are like, where are the people that can make the changes?
Wait a minute.
Usually it's...
I'm sorry. Are you saying this is one of those years where we don't have three quarterbacks in the top 10? That kind of thing?
But you know how it is.
That's what I'm saying. It usually happens.
Someone will talk themselves into a quarterback could sneak into the first round because there aren't a lot of quarterbacks and there are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And these two guys, the fact that we aren't talking about Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders as the clear number one pick is also interesting to me. That both of those guys, with the numbers that they put up last year, that people haven't freaked out. Now, it's still only February. There's still plenty of time for people to freak out, trade up, and get the quarterback that they want at the spot that they want.
Right. Like right now, I mean, if we're talking about Sanders, he's right in that 5 to 7 area, maybe at number 6. So we'll see. No, it's very interesting. We look at the top 10. It's kind of juicy this year in terms of the not knowing exactly what it is. I have one more defensive player I want you guys to hear from. Not as well known. I just love the way this guy talked. I mean, he probably is a top 20 pick. Ashton Gillette, a pass rusher out of Louisville, and I enjoy talking to him. Here he is.
You have been a really great pass rusher in terms of rip moves, swing moves, and bull rush. Have you been trying to focus more on expanding your pass rush arsenal and getting more counters, or trying to master those moves?
Well, obviously, you want to master those moves. Obviously, everyone's going to be their own style of rusher. So, whatever you have that works for you is what works. But the counters off of that, you need to have 2-3 counters off of that. So, for example, if I do a chop rip, so chop rip spin should be my counter. You know what I'm saying? Just getting that kind of stuff ingrained so it's more fluid. That's like effort and fluidity is really what's going to win you reps and power. So I'll stick to what my base is, but obviously you want to expand the arsenal as much as you can.
So you got a guy. I
got a guy.
What speaks to you?
Spiegel.
What is it?
No, I like the football IQ. That was just one little example of it, but you usually don't get that thorough of an answer out of these guys, at this point in their careers. So I just love the way Ashton Gillette talked, and it seemed like an interesting prospect. I don't know that that's a guy that the Bears are going to target, but he definitely would be there if they were interested in him at this point. But we'll see.
I always like when people who cover the league, you maybe hear something or see something that catches your eye, and you're like, yeah, this guy might be a fit because of that. So please, like this is why you're really good at this. They're telling us the stuff that we don't see, telling us the stuff that us being there we might not pick up on.
Is there a Mike Mamula yet? Is there somebody who's just like gonna wow people in underwear and in and in like, oh my God, his 3 cone drill was unbelievable, and like he wasn't good at football, but oh my God,
I tell you who that is.
Okay,
it's Kenneth Grant.
Really? See,
that's the guy.
Yeah,
another Michigan guy.
Does he jump out of pools or something?
He's one of those guys because he's got kind of a freakish build, and his athleticism attached to that freakish build. That'll be one of those guys that people are talking about at the combine, being like, "Have you seen this guy? Have you seen what this guy can do? He can jump out of a pool."
Yeah, no, there is a little buzz around him. Now, there's no Mike Mamula, but there is a Rock Mamola. I mean, I know that exists in life. But I don't think that I think that's the guy. I don't really know at this point, Speaks, like who's going to be the guy that goes crazy. So we're gonna have to find out here.
Groats, any nuggets and or tidbits?
John the Rock Mamola.
Rock Mamola.
Let me see if there's anything that
talked
I have
with him
left
earlier
out
this week.
Here. Let's see. Oh, Spiegel, you will like this.
Okay.
Tomorrow, since you seem to be so amused by the potential of Ben Johnson's parade of tight ends going through Haugh Hall.
Yes.
The tight ends will be at the podium tomorrow out here at the Combine. So they will be here. Yes.
You're the man. Yeah. It is a big one. We talked to Mike Valenti last week from The Ticket, and he's like, get ready for all of the tight ends. Get ready to sign every tight end, like 13 tight ends. There was a point where like the Lions had an absurd amount because they're so important. They're so important to what Ben does.
Yeah.
They ran 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, more than all teams but 2 in the NFL.
I'm glad that they cleared some room in that room to sign some tight ends.
Couldn't agree more. They ran 13 personnel, more than all but like 6 teams in the NFL with 3 tight ends at once. Sometimes those were linemen, but yeah, now all they have is Komet, so they need to add a pile of tight ends. Grote, scout tight ends strong, my friend.